For this next set of problems, what we have is a series of absolute value functions. Now, absolute value make the V shape, and the best way to graph them is to first find the vertex and use the vertex and then the slope of the sides and graph the rest of the graph. Okay, so we're going to start out with this equation by finding the vertex. Now the vertex, it's going to be an x and a y, and the x value you get from inside with the x. And it's always the opposite of what it says. So this would be positive 7. The y value, you say, okay, is there anything outside here added? No, there's not, so that's 0. The vertex of this graph is going to be at 7, 0. From that point, you look and say, okay, what's the coefficient out here? There's nothing there, so that means that the slope of the sides is just going to be positive and negative 1, which means that from the vertex, it's going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and it's going to do that in both directions, therefore giving you that V shape. Okay, so if you were to draw the sides of this graph right here, you'd have this little nice V shape. Okay, let's do several of these because the more that you do, the easier they become. Okay, this one right here, the vertex is going to be at negative 10, 0. There's nothing added out here on the outside, so the y-coordinate is 0, and use the opposite sign of the thing that's inside with the x. So the vertex is at negative 10, 0 right here. Now, because there's a negative right here, that means that the slope is still going to be positive and negative 1, but it's going to be opening downward. And that's because the negative flips it upside down. So it's still going to be like 1, 1, so 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, but it's going to be opening downward. All right, so you just make a few points until you kind of got a good graph there, and then you just, connect the dots. Okay, so there's that absolute value graph. Okay, let's go with the next one. Now this one in your book, it had this right here because it wanted you to do it a different way. You can just cross that one out. I gave you this alternate one to do. So that's what we're going to do. The vertex is at negative 2, 2 because you use the opposite sign here. And now we have a number added outside, so you do the same sign here. So negative 2, 2, that is the vertex of this V shape. Now it's a positive coefficient, so that means it's going to go upward, and it's going to have a slope of 2/3, which positive and negative, because one side's going to be going positive and one side's negative. Okay, so from this point, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, and same thing from here, up 2, back 3, up 2, back 3. And so you can see the V shape. It's a little bit different because the slope is 2/3 instead of 1. Okay, let's take a look at some other ones. Now these ones are, you just need to write the equation based on what's happening right here. So it's always y equals, and then it didn't change the slope, it's just a translation. So inside with the x, the 4, it's moving the graph up, so that's going to be the outside number. And this is moving it right, so that means that you use the opposite sign. All right, and then it moves it up. So let's look at this. Opposite sign, that means this is actually going to move to the right, and that means that this is going to move up because it uses the same sign on the outside, opposite sign if it's on the inside. Okay, this one, it's easy. It gives you the vertex. So this is y equals absolute value of, now the x coordinate you're going to do the opposite of, so that'll be x plus 3. And we don't have to put the plus 0. I mean, if you think about it, there's like a plus 0 right there, but you don't ever have to write that. Okay, let's go to the next ones. This one right here, this vertex, means that when you plug it into the equation, it'll be x minus 5, and then on the outside plus 2. Because positive 5, positive 2, you change the sign on this one, you don't change the sign on this one. Okay, almost the same exact problem on number 35. Absolute value of x minus 4, and then plus 1. Because the one inside is the opposite sign, the one outside is not. Okay, now we're back to graphing. Now remember, f of x is the same thing as y. Basically, this just means y equals absolute value of 8 of x equals minus 8. Okay, now the vertex, that's the first thing that you want to graph, is the point 0, negative 8. It's 0 because there's nothing added inside with the x this time. All right, so 0, negative 8 is right down here. The slope is 1. All right, there's no fancy slope involved in this case. It's positive and negative 1, and it does open upward. So I'm just going to graph a few points here, enough to get a good idea of what the shape of the graph looks like. And then I can go back and put in the lines, connect the dots to make lines. Okay, so there's the V shape. It has been shifted from the original absolute value graph. It's been shifted down 8 spaces. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one has 2 transformations. It has, its vertex has been moved right 5 spaces, because you go the opposite direction of the sign, and then its slope is 2, which means it's going to be taller. It's going to be vertically stretched. Okay, so first step, find the vertex. All right, vertex will be at positive 5, 0, because it's as if there's a plus 0 out here that's not written. Okay, the slope of the sides is going to be positive and negative 2. It is going to open upward because it's positive. All right, so there's the vertex at 5, 0. The slope is 2, meaning 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 back 1, up 2 back 1, up 2 back 1. Okay, and then you can just fill in the sides. Okay. Next, this one has all 3 transformations. The vertex has been shifted to the right, and it's been shifted up, and then it also has a change in the slope of the sides. So first step in graphing absolute value functions is identify the vertex. So it would be positive 3, and the slope of the sides is going to be positive and negative 1/2. So we start with the vertex at 3, 3. It is going to be opening upward, but with a slope of 1/2. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Same thing here, up 1 back 2, up 1 back 2, up 1 back 2. And then fill in the sides. You can see that it opens wider because it has a slope of 1/2. So it's had a vertical shrink. Okay. What's next? Oh, here's another one. Okay, this one only has 2 transformations. This one moves to the left 4 spaces. It doesn't move up or down at all, but it has a slope change of 3. So let's start by finding the vertex, which is at negative 4, 0. Why is it 0? Because there's like an imaginary 0 added out here, and you use the opposite sign of what's inside the absolute value bars. The slope on this one is going to be positive or negative 3, meaning 3 over 1. All right, let's start with the vertex. Negative 4, 0. From there we go up 3 left 1, right, excuse me. Up 3 back 1, up 3 back 1, up 3 back 1, and then just fill in the sides. You can see that this V is much steeper than the last one, because the slope is different. This one had a slope of 1/2, this one had a slope of 3. Okay, and it looks like this is the same thing. We've got to identify the vertex. So let's see, what's the vertex here? It's plus 1, which means that you use the opposite sign, so it's negative 1. This one you use the same sign, so that's also negative 1. And the slope is going to be positive and negative 2, but this one, because of this negative, that's going to open downward. So you need to make sure that you flip it if there's a negative there. Okay, let's start here. Negative 1, that's this point right here. The slope is 2, meaning 2 over 1. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And the other direction as well. Pretty easy because we all know that these V shapes have symmetry, so they're kind of easy to graph once you get the basic idea. And there we go. Okay, now this one, now we're starting into a different type of equation, so I'm actually going to save this for the next video.